Happy International Women's Day. At first, I would like to thank the organizer of this conference entitled Rise of Popular Movement in the Middle East and North Africa, the Rise of Political Islam. What does the future hold for women in this region? Once again, Happy International Women's Day. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend this conference, but fortunate enough, with the use of technology, I can use my speech from here, Canada. And after all, we've been using the same technology to run and organize various campaigns globally, and thanks to the social media, we have been able to connect with the activists of uprising in Middle East and North Africa. The uprising of people in the Middle East and North Africa was to get rid of dictatorship and was to gain freedom, equality, and prosperity. The unrest was to end poverty, starvation, unemployment, homelessness, economic insecurity, deprivation, discrimination, equality, political repressions, ignorance, prejudice, and political insecurity. The uprising was to gain political freedom and welfare rights. Instead, what they have witnessed in the region had nothing to do with their desired value, essential needs, and demands. People soon faced that the state of political Islam and Islamic terrorism has been reinforced upon them with the direct involvement of the USA and its allies. The result is the obvious impositions of reactionary and anti-women Islamic law on people, from beheading and mutilations to planting bomb and mass murder. Women are now the first target of Islamic movement in the region. The mass arrests, including young mothers who have been tortured before their children to obtain confessions, arrest of activists and organizers of women, workers, and students has been the first attempt of Islamists in order to suppress the popular uprising in the region. One main factor in this stage play is being ignored, and that is not to see the root and the cause of uprising. The movement for freedom, prosperity, and equality has a strong connection with people's routine and daily activities. Can you imagine an industrial society with the great young educated populations being against or not being in favor of modernism? A society can be silent under the rule of dictators, but no dictator ever can push back the modern, progressive, and secular lives of people without people's harsh daily resistance. This is why people in Iran are in constant challenge with the Islamic regime for their political freedom and civil rights. With the circumstances that they are in, and with the daily face-to-face confrontation, people have no choice but to take political approach against the Islamic State. What I intended to proclaim is that the prospect for secularism in Iran is very obvious. Iran as a society has been dedicated to civilizations and has the thirst for modernism. The struggle of women against compulsory rape, the thirst of young girls to achieve university degrees and higher education, the attraction of youth towards Western culture, music, Western film and fashion, the struggle of women to obtain the right to divorce and right to have custody of their children, right to travel and work, all presents the force of this movement. There is an approach by known experts in Middle East in which they believe only with endorsement of cultural and electoral renaissance, secular democracy can be promoted in the Middle East and North Africa. The followers of this approach first assume 90% of people in the region are Muslim just because by birth they are. They further assume that the members of society in the region have no desire for freedom and civil rights. And then, based on this assumption, they conclude that citizens of society in these regions are the followers of backward traditions and religion. The proposal is to put more effort on education, mostly cultural education, and criticize religion in a philosophical way. The followers of this approach purposely ignore the grassroots of movement for freedom, equality, and prosperity, which cannot be achieved without total separation of religion from a state. The reality is, with this approach, they are trying to prevent religion from falling. They are trying hard to save the Islamic regime in the region by planting the notion that Islam can become moderated. With this notion came about the leaders of Green Movement in Iran and Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. But the reality and the need of society, as well as the move of people, have proven differently. In order to survive, people need to achieve a modern civil life. It is impossible to ask highly educated women to deny their basic rights and become submissive toward the men in their household. It is impossible to treat women as a second-class citizen while they are holding jobs in industrial firms and service offices. It is impossible to expect youth not to enjoy the happy, colorful life and live like a student of theology in an era of internet and high technology. That is why we are facing with the mass movement in the region that will not settle for anything less than what they desire, and that is freedom, equality, and prosperity. Proudly enough, women are at the forefront of this movement in the region. I strongly believe that soon we will overcome this obstacle too. Thanks for listening, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you.